My sister sent our grandma's ring to be cleaned, the one worth $50,000. The emerald and diamond Art Deco piece that had been in our family since 1923. The ring that was supposed to go to me on my wedding day, but somehow ended up with Celia instead. I'm taking extra good care of it, she'd said at lunch, flashing it on her right hand. Getting it professionally cleaned for the first time in years. You know how Grandma never wanted to take it off. I'd smiled and nodded, pushing down that familiar sting. Just like I'd done when she'd gotten Grandma's pearl necklace. And the sapphire brooch. And somehow, mysteriously, every single piece of valuable jewelry despite me being the older sister. That's thoughtful, I'd managed. Now, 3 days later, my husband Marcus was getting a call during dinner. He frowned at his phone. Why is Kellerman's Jewelers calling me? My heart skipped. That's where Celia took the ring. Why would they dash? He answered, putting it on speaker out of habit. Marcus Chin speaking. Mr. Chin? This is David Kellerman. I'm calling about the ring Miss Celia Winters brought in for cleaning. I think you want my sister-in-law, Marcus said. This is Dash. No, sir. I specifically need to speak to you or your wife. The contact number Ms. Winters provided wasn't working, and you're listed as the emergency contact on your wife's account with us. I leaned forward. This is Rosalie Chin. Is something wrong with my grandmother's ring? A pause. Mrs. Chin, I'm afraid I have some difficult news. The ring Ms. Winters brought in, it isn't real. It never was. The words didn't make sense. That's impossible. It's been in our family for 100 years. I understand this must be shocking, but I've examined it thoroughly. It's an excellent reproduction, one of the best I've seen. But the emerald is synthetic, created probably in the last decade. The diamonds are cubic zirconia. The setting is sterling silver with rhodium plating, not platinum. Marcus grabbed my hand as I swayed. When would someone have switched it? Mrs. Chin, this isn't a switch. This ring was manufactured as a replica. The wear patterns, the construction, it's never been anything but what it is. A very convincing fake. My mind raced. But I remember my grandmother wearing it. I remember. Check your jewelry, Marcus said quietly after we'd hung up. All of it. What? His face was grim. Just do it. Everything valuable. Everything inherited. With shaking hands, I went to our bedroom safe. My mother's diamond tennis bracelet. Grandma's pearl necklace. Wait, no, Celia had that. Mom's wedding set I'd inherited when she passed 5 years ago. The antique cameo brooch. The ruby earrings Dad gave Mom for their 25th anniversary. Marcus had grabbed his jeweler's loupe. He'd gotten into watch collecting and had all the tools. He examined each piece under the bright desk light. Fake, he said, setting down the tennis bracelet. Fake. Fake. This one might be real, no fake. Every single piece. Every single inherited item. All replicas. How? I whispered. When? But even as I asked, the pieces were falling into place. Celia, who'd lived with Mom during her cancer treatments. Celia, who'd been executor of the estate. Celia, who'd handled all the details while I was grieving. She had 5 years, I said slowly. 5 years since Mom died. And before that, the power of attorney, Marcus finished. When your mom was sick, Celia had access to everything. I thought about how Celia had insisted on handling the estate sale. How she'd been so generous, making sure I got Mom's jewelry while she just took a few sentimental pieces. How she'd packed everything up for me, delivered it to my house in neat labeled boxes. The originals were probably replaced before I even got them, I said. Marcus was already pulling up his laptop. We need to check auction records. Estate sales. Online listings. It took 3 hours. 3 hours of searching through sold listings on various sites. But we found them. Or at least we found enough. Mom's tennis bracelet. Sold through Christie's 2 years ago for $23,000. The ruby earrings. Private sale through a discreet estate dealer, $18,000. Grandma's actual ring. Sold 18 months ago. $47,500 to a private collector in Japan. All sold by C. Winters, or through dealers in the same city where Celia lived. $250,000, Marcus said quietly. At least. That's just what we can trace. I stared at the screenshots. She's been wearing Grandma's ring. Flashing it around. But it's fake. Why? Because she needed you to think she had it. If you knew it was gone, you'd start asking questions. This way, she gets the money and the appearance of having the heirlooms. My phone rang. Celia. Don't, Marcus warned, but I'd already answered. Rosie, the jeweler called about some mix-up? They're saying Grandma's ring is fake, which is obviously impossible. I think they're trying to pull some kind of scam dash. I know what you did, I said quietly. Silence. I don't know what you mean, she said finally, but her voice had changed. Mom's tennis bracelet sold at Christie's. The ruby earrings through Harriman's. Should I keep going? You're upset, she said carefully. I understand. But Rosie, you have to understand, Mom's medical bills dash. Were covered by insurance and her savings. I saw the statements. Not all of them. There were other expenses. Things I didn't want to burden you with while you were grieving. So you stole my inheritance and replaced it with fakes? I preserved your inheritance. Her voice went shrill. Do you have any idea what those treatments cost? The experimental drugs insurance wouldn't cover? The private nurses? I saved her life for an extra year. Mom didn't want experimental treatments. She was ready to go. You're the one who insisted dash. Because I loved her. Because I wasn't ready to just let her die like you were. And then you stole from her. From both of us. I earned that money. 2 years of being her caregiver. 2 years of my life. While you visited on weekends and felt sad. You lived in her house rent-free. She paid for everything dash. You want to talk about fair? Celia's voice was venomous now. You got everything growing up. The straight A's, the perfect husband, the fancy job. I got to be the screw-up who moved back home at 30. So yes, I took the jewelry. I sold it. I used it to pay for Mom's care and maybe, just maybe, to finally get my life together. You had no right dash. I had every right. I was there. I held her hand through chemo. I cleaned up when she was sick. I watched her fade away while you sent flowers and called when it was convenient. And then you robbed her daughter. I robbed no one. I took what I earned. And frankly, you never even noticed. 5 years, Rosalie. 5 years you've been wearing fakes and you never knew the difference. What does that tell you about how much Grandma's ring really meant to you? She hung up. I sat there, staring at the fake jewelry spread across our bed. She wasn't entirely wrong. I hadn't known. I'd worn these pieces to events, shown them off, told stories about them, and never realized they were replicas. We're calling the police, Marcus said. With what evidence? She was executor. She had power of attorney. She'll say Mom gave her permission to sell them for medical expenses. The forgeries dash aren't illegal if she wasn't trying to sell them as real. She gave them to me as keepsakes. Replicas of family heirlooms. She'll spin it. Marcus slammed his laptop shut. So she just gets away with it? I thought about Celia at lunch 3 days ago, wearing the fake ring like a badge of honor. The way she'd talked about taking care of it, getting it cleaned. The performance of it all. No, I said slowly. She doesn't. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Found the number I wanted. Who are you calling? Someone who might be interested in knowing that Celia Winters has been selling stolen estate jewelry. Someone who bought a few pieces himself. James Harriman answered on the second ring. He remembered the sale, remembered Celia. Was very interested to hear that the pieces might not have been hers to sell. She provided documentation, he said carefully. Proof of ownership. Forged probably. She had access to all the family papers. Mr. Harriman, those pieces were supposed to be held in trust. Split between heirs. I never signed anything authorizing their sale. That's concerning. We pride ourselves on legitimate provenance. If what you're saying is true, it is. And I have a proposition. It took a month to set everything in motion. Harrimans contacted their buyers, expressing concerns about provenance. The Japanese collector who'd bought Grandma's ring was particularly upset. He prided himself on his collection's legitimacy. Christie's launched their own investigation. Turns out Celia had sold several other pieces through them, all with questionable documentation. Meanwhile, I played along. Let Celia think I'd dropped it. Even had lunch with her, where she wore the fake ring and talked about family being more important than material things. The lawsuit hit her on a Tuesday. Not from me, from the auction houses. From the collectors. Fraud. Breach of contract. Damages that totaled 3 times what she'd made from the sales. She called me hysterical. How could you do this to me? I didn't do anything. You did this to yourself when you forged provenance documents. When you sold things that weren't yours. I'm your sister. Yes, you are. And you stole from me, lied to me, and then tried to gaslight me about it. Family, right? The legal battles bankrupted her. She had to sell her condo, her car. Move in with friends. The irony wasn't lost on me. She'd stolen to avoid being the family failure, and ended up there anyway. I never got the jewelry back. The legal complications made it impossible. The collectors kept their pieces, now with clouded provenance that destroyed their value. The money Celia had gotten was long gone, spent on Mom's treatments and, I suspected, plenty of other things. But I kept the fakes, had them displayed in a custom case in my home office. My daily reminder that not all theft comes from strangers. That sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones willing to rob you blind. Celia still has her fake ring. Still wears it sometimes, from what mutual friends tell me. The $50,000 ring that never was, on the finger of a sister who never really was either. At least the ring was honest about being fake. The betrayal still stings. Not the money, Marcus and I do fine. Not even the lost heirlooms, though I mourn them. It's the calculation of it. The years of deception. The way she looked me in the eye and lied, over and over, while wearing replicas of our grandmother's love. Mom's jewelry was supposed to bind us together. Instead, it showed me exactly who my sister was. Someone who could steal from the dead and lie to the living. Someone who could replace real gems with fake ones and think the switch would never be noticed. She was almost right. Almost. But fake stones catch the light differently than real ones. And fake family shows its true colors eventually too. I still have the screenshots of the auction listings. Sometimes I look at them, see our family history scattered to collectors around the world. Grandma's ring in Tokyo. Mom's bracelet in Dubai. Pieces of our past sold off like they meant nothing. But maybe that's fitting. Celia treated our relationship like it meant nothing too. At least she got good prices for the jewelry. She sold our sisterhood much cheaper, for nothing more than the hope I'd never find out. The jeweler saved me in the end. One phone call about a fake ring revealed years of real betrayal. I'm grateful he called my husband instead of her. Grateful for that moment of confusion that led to clarity. Because now I know the truth. Every family heirloom I thought I had is fake. Just like the sister who gave them to me. The only real thing was the theft itself, calculated, deliberate, and complete. Celia still sends Christmas cards. Signs them, your loving sister. I throw them away unopened. I've had enough fiction from her to last a lifetime. After all, I have a whole case full of it. Beautiful fakes that remind me every day that sometimes the people who smile the widest are the ones picking your pocket. That family can be your biggest blind spot. And that $50,000 rings can be fake. But the betrayal? That's always real.